A million ways to win, and Davis Mills and the Texans defense found every way to get the dub. Texans keep their playoff hopes alive behind this
Shoot
man.
or shoot. If you stop, I mean, you're not going to see shots go in. So
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation, come out and play. We talking Texans on this Victory Monday. To all my Locked On Texan fans out there, from H-Town to your town, today's episode and every episode, especially this Victory Monday episode of the Locked On Texan podcast, is for Texan fans all around. I'm John Hickman, your Locked On Texans credential media member and football analyst. Welcome to the Locked On Texan podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the number one sports network. And boy, do we got some conversations to be had today. We talking Texans. On Friday, I talked about what would a loss indicate for the Houston Texans. We're not worried about a loss. We're not talking about a loss. It's Victory Monday, baby. So what does Sunday's victory and win mean for Houston moving forward? And of course, we're going to talk about the defense. Of course, we're going to talk about Davis Mills. But who I believe is the unsung hero of Sunday's game? The offensive line. So we'll talk about that, plus an exclusive one-on-one conversation with center Jake Andrews. But this is a statement win for the Houston Texans, statement win for DeMeco Ryans, statement win for Nick Caley, statement win for a franchise that has not won a one-score game all year after being a better one-score winning team in 2024. They finally get it done. And so that is where the conversation needs to start. To my everydayers from the Himalayas, thank you for making Locked On Texans your first listen of the day. And to the newcomers of the show, please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. But let's sit down. Let's talk Texans. The atmosphere and the energy in the NRG Stadium was crazy. And that's considering the first half. I saw fans leave the stadium like they couldn't do it no more. But they did something special. They did something special. The Texans finally win a one-score game, capped off by a Sheldon Rankins fumble recovery that was kicked off by Will Anderson, who finally got his money on the day after Danielle Hunter went crazy. This game is absolutely a testament to how great DeMeco Ryans' defense is for Houston. And see, we like to talk about quarterbacks, and quarterbacks always come up, win or lose, a quarterback got to take the stand, right? This game, essentially, is about how DeMeco Ryans' defense made Trevor Lawrence a non-factor and shut out Travis Etienne by winning on the edge. Danielle Hunter had a stout day, 3.5 sacks. He got busy, 7 tackles all total. And this is after I've been asking, hey, we need more of him. We need more of him. We need more of Danielle Hunter. Lawrence was a pedestrian in a Jags jersey for most of the game. And that offense, even when they went up 20-3, didn't feel like it was because of him. Didn't feel like it was because of the offense's own merit, but it felt like it was because of the blunders from the Houston Texans. And the Houston Texans cleaned it up. I want you guys to hear from DeMeco Ryans on stopping Trevor Lawrence and that Jags offense.
Yeah, from the film study, what we saw is main thing, we needed to stop the run. We knew they were going to be committed to stopping to rushing the football, so we did have to do a good job of stopping it. We didn't do our best. Like, we could have done much better, but we did enough. All right, and we wanted to be in a position to make them have to throw the football to allow our D-line have to get after the quarterback, and that's what they did. They finished with 5 sacks. They did an outstanding job, and Danielle had one of his best games. So really proud of the effort up front and how those guys rushed. And that was our plan, and we executed it the right way. And when we needed it most, there at the end of the game, they came up big time for us. Nico has always been a big part of what we do. And he shined today. Nico and Davis have had that connection for a while. So it was fun to see those guys just getting back to what they've done before. And Nico he doesn't say anything, but he's one of our hardest workers. No matter how the game goes, he's always ready for an opportunity to make big plays for us.
The second half of that question, response from D'Amico Ryans asking about Nico Collins, down Titus Howard, down Ed Ingram, down C.J. Stroud. A lot of the vets and leaders on the offensive side of the ball were out for Houston. How did Nico Collins step up? And listen, he stepped up in a major way. 15 targets, 7 catches, 136 yards, nearly 20 yards per catch with a long ball of 54. Nico Collins was everything for the Houston Texans offense. But the first part of that question was stopping the Jags offense, essentially stopping that offense. Let me tell you guys something. Coming into the game and on the year, the Jags rushing offense, 123.6 per game, 4.5 yards per carry, 94 yards, on the ground, 3.5 yards per carry. And then you look at D'Amico Ryans talking about, make them throw, make them have to throw. In this game, Trevor Lawrence, 4.3 yards per throw, 5 sacks, 8 yards per loss. 8 yards lost per sack, Trevor Lawrence also had a QBR of 28 and a 74 NFL passer rating. He was a completely non-factor for the Jags offense. Houston got after him early. They got after him often. And honestly, if it wasn't for the early, the first drive interception, and then we look at the fumble that Tremont Smith lost on the second kickoff, the Houston Texans may have been in this game a little bit earlier than the fourth quarter magic comeback, right? But ultimately, this is a defense that played, in my opinion, especially when you look at the Houston Texans in that fourth quarter, played some of their best football. Derek Stingley with an interception on the day. Azeez Al-Shaair just continues to be stout at that linebacker position, even when it felt like the Jags were targeting the linebacker unit in the middle of the field. They continue to make plays. But when you have an offense finding a groove, finding what works for them, and that offense has been dead for majority of the game. And with this offense, we can say majority of the season, right? To hold a team to 0 points in the fourth quarter, to hold a team to only 9 points in the second half. What more can you ask for? This is the number 1 defense in the NFL for a reason. For Houston, that's the story of the game. They don't have a shot of winning this game against the Jacksonville Jaguars if they didn't go out there and on the last 3 drives, 3 plays, -4 yards, 3 plays, 6 yards, 3 plays, fumble by Sheldon Rankins to the house to cap off the victory to set the whole NRG on fire. That's the story. The story is the Texans defense made Trevor Lawrence look like the quarterback that he is. And that is an average to below average quarterback. And on the flip side, my everydayers from the Himalayas heard me say, you guys, and I want y'all to fill up the comment section. Yeah, you were right. I don't do this too often, but I'm doing it now. The game wasn't necessarily about Davis Mills having to be perfect. The game was more so about Nick Caley having to be perfect. Okay, let's talk about that. Nick Caley didn't throw the first interception. That was Davis Mills, and I think that was more so of a good play by the defense. Nick Caley didn't fumble the football on a kickoff return, right? That wasn't Nick Caley. But then you look after that, okay, they punt the ball. You look at maybe some of the things that Davis Mills did and didn't do. They punt the ball again next time they get the ball. And then, okay, field goal. Okay, then the Texas defense hold the Jags to a field goal. Okay, touchdown, and then whatever. But then you go on those last 3 touchdown drives. Nick Caley, chef's kiss, perfection. Perfection. We can talk a lot about who needs to be fired. We can talk about a lot about who don't need to be in this organization anymore. But I'll tell you this. Nick Caley if he continues to build on play calling performances like that, he may be in Houston for a little bit longer. He may be in Houston for a little bit longer. I thought his play calling was masterful, and I thought what we absolutely need to give him credit for on that last drive, you know what? They can't stop the run. Hear from Davis Mills on the offensive game plan for the week.
Caley put together a great offensive game plan along with the other offensive coaches, and we were able to go out there today and execute. And then to kind of answer the second part of that, I think anytime you kind of start off a little slow, the mentality of our team is to attack every play with aggression and just going out there and try to execute every play at a high level. So we were able to do that. Coaches stayed aggressive. I have always had the mentality to stay confident regardless of what happened on the play before. It's kind of like the old basketball mentality, shoot or shoot. If you stop, you're not going to see shots go in. So I think today was just a great team win. Defense was able to keep getting off the field, slow down their offense. Special teams made some plays, and as the game went on, our offense kept getting better and better, and we were able to go down there and find a way to win it at the end.
Davis Mills says something that I think is very important. Coaches stayed aggressive. Why were they able to stay aggressive? Texan fans out there, my Locked On Texans listeners and viewers, my everydayers, because the offensive line allowed them to be. And that's exactly where we're going to pick up when we come back. More Locked On Texans talk. You're going to want to stick around for this one.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends over there at Peloton. Look, folks, it's time to break through the busiest time of the year with a brand new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus that's powered by Peloton IQ. It's Peloton's most elevated technology and equipment yet that gives you real-time guidance, and it gives you endless ways to move, whether you want to work out by yourself or if you want to work out with your favorite instructor, like my personal favorite, Alex Toussaint. He always gets me fired up to tackle the day. And the thing I like about Peloton, it helps me achieve more in less times. They have features that help you plan, stay motivated, track your progress, and Peloton IQ also provides personalized workout plans and recommendations. That's something that I use right now during the busiest time of the year covering the NFL. They plan my workouts for me based on my mood, my vibe, and also my favorite instructors. So make sure you check it out and use it, because it also helps you correct your form in real time, and it maximizes your reps. It counts your reps so that you can do it smarter, safer, and more efficient. Let yourself run, lift, flex, push, and go. Explore the new Peloton cross-training Tread Plus at onepeloton.com.
Also, Texan fans, this is the perfect opportunity to talk to my business owners out there. If you are a business owner, here is the truth. A lot of promises out there to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS. That's sad. That is sad. Software as a disservice. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance all in one place. They've helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. By uniting your employees, teams, and department in one system, Rippling removes the bottlenecks, busy work, and silos from your software creations. It's seriously simple to use, and it gives companies one source of truth for their people, data, and everything that they touch. And right now, you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/lockedonnfl. That's rippling.com/lockedonnfl. Learn more at rippling.com/lockedon to get 6 months for free. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers. Again, one of the best things that Davis Mills said, the coaches stayed aggressive. The coaches stayed aggressive. You don't do that. You can't do that when your offensive line ain't playing up to par, right? Between DeMeco Ryans and Nick Caley, how often have we heard through 10 weeks now, we want to be an aggressive football team up front. We want to be able to run the ball, right? Sometimes the Houston Texans haven't been able to do that this year, but in games where they're taking on the quote-unquote better opponents, that hasn't consistently been the case. Well, Houston's offensive line, 130 rushing yards on the game. Okay, that's great. 5.9 yards per carry. Okay, that's even better. 8 rushing first downs. Okay, that's good. 2.59 yards before contact. All right, that's great. 3.32 yards after the contact. All right, that's amazing. 3 of the 4 TD drives, Houston online, surrendered 2 or less pressures on them drives. All right, we cooking. All right, we cooking. And here's the thing about this. Like, here's what makes this so important. This is an offensive line in this game. No Titus Howard, no Ed Ingram, right? Trent Brown, after not playing at all this year, gets to start over Blake Fisher, who had to fill in for Titus Howard last week, and he played well. Sidney Soule, who was just recently signed, he started out there for the Houston Texans at right guard. And then you also look at Drew Scruggs, eventually got on the field for Houston. Yeah. Scruggs was featured in 60 of the 69 snaps. So it really was somewhat of a mess for the Houston Texans offensive line. And also let's consider the last time Houston had to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars in week 3, what that offensive line performance was like. C.J. Stroud only sacked 2 times in that game, but the running backs were not able to, as a whole, they were not able to eclipse 100 yards. They did a much better job this go-around, but I want to highlight Ariante Ursery. This young man continues to be the best offensive lineman for the Houston Texans. It's not a vet. It's not someone that's been here. It has been Ariante Ursery. He's been the best offensive lineman. And I'm going to tell you what I like about this young man before I get to the interview, because I want you guys to hear this interview. Ursery is not scared to get out in space and move and put a hand on somebody, especially when it comes to getting nasty in the run game. 69 snaps, 0 sacks allowed, only 4 pressures allowed. Now, I did have an opportunity to speak with Jake Andrews in his 69 snaps, 3 pressures allowed, 1 sack. But Jake Andrews gave me a great interview. We just had a good conversation. Very informal, just talking, just 2 guys talking. So I want you guys to hear this interview now. Jake, huge win for you guys. Keep the playoff hopes alive, of course. But one thing that I noticed, more so coming out of halftime, you guys made up an adjustment. Drew Scruggs inserted into the right guard. And from there, you guys were able to run the ball a little bit better, a lot better, actually. The protection was better. What kind of went into that decision, and how were you guys kind of able to lean on one another to give the offensive line the best opportunity to have that type of performance?
Yeah, I don't know what went into that decision. I don't make those decisions. I have no input in that. Say what you want. If we got better when Juice came in, and so be it. But I think really in the second half when we came back out, we just weren't stepping on our own toes anymore. You go watch the first half, I think we kind of got in our own way most of those drives. And once we got going in the second half and we were executing and being dialed in on my points and being able to protect a little bit better, things just started clicking, good or bad. We came out with a W at the end of the day, and that's all that really matters.
As one of the tenured players in terms of NFL on this team, what are you seeing from rookie left tackle Ariante Ursery in his performance and just now and throughout the season as well?
Yeah, when he got here, we got here really about the same time because I got claimed right after the draft, and then he showed up, and I've been impressed with him ever since. He wants to win and he wants to dominate guys, and you can really tell. And he just keeps getting better and better. He's really trying to learn every week. That's what being a rookie's about. You have to learn through playing, and especially when you're an early drafted guy like he is, and you're thrown into the fire, so to speak. You have to learn while you're out there all week during practice, and he's done a really good job of that. He's continuing to grow.
In the first game, the Jags D-front had much more of an impact on the game, but You guys today kind of cleaned up on some things, like you said, didn't step on your own toes. But from your perspective and what you were able to do, what was it about today that was different from week 3?
Yeah, I think we were able to handle their front a little bit better. We knew what to expect. I'm not going to speak on last game. That was what it was. But like I said, we just kind of got out our own way. Like that, we've been able to do things like that in the second half. We run the football well and protect well. It's all about just being dialed in and executing. And little things here and there that have happened throughout the year. That last game against Jacksonville, we may have just been off, but today we were on, and we had a good plan going into the game, and we really, like I said, executed it really well.
Now, I'm not going to harp on week 3, but throughout the weeks, both DeMeco Ryans, head coach DeMeco Ryans, and offensive coordinator Nick Caley both mentioned how much they want this team to be a physical run team.
Yep.
And then we see Nick Chubb have a very good day. We also see the rookie Roy Marks have a very good day. Can you just talk about that and how one thing DeMeco Ryans says, if you guys execute, then this team is a whole lot different. So just the execution in the run game and how you complement the running backs as well.
Yeah, first off, Woody and Nick, all of our running backs do a really good job making reads and things like that. They're always really dialed into run game protection. They do a great job for us. I really appreciate those guys. Like I said before, we've been able to do things like this. It's when we're dialed in and listening to the mic points, and we're all on the same page. Even if we're wrong, if we're all on the wrong page together, we can still make something out of nothing. And I think today we were all on the right page together. Very often we were finishing blocks downfield. It just kind of came all together. We were able to really lean on them late in the game, and like I said, we know that that's what we're capable of. We just have to continue to do that.
Davis Mills, starting quarterback coming into this game.
Yep.
He's been a starter in the league before, but just from a teammate perspective, how are you guys able to rally around Davis and all come together and say, hey man, our backs against the wall. We got to win this one to keep our playoff hopes alive. How are you guys able to do that this week?
Yeah, we see him work in practice. We see his attention to detail, how stoic he is, and how poised he is. He's a great leader. Even when CJ's in there, we trust all of our quarterbacks, man. And we know they're all playmakers, and it doesn't matter who's in there. We got to protect and give them opportunities to throw the football downfield. And I think we did a good job of that today. And Davis made some good throws. And that's what it's about. It doesn't matter who's in there. We got to protect and run the football and just play complementary football. And that's how you're an efficient offense.
Last question, Jake. Emotional win. On the sideline, you guys the energy was through the roof. Just saw a different version of DeMeco Ryans. He was excited. The team bond is great, but how does it feel to kind of get your back off the wall a little bit and keep playoff hopes alive? How does that speak towards the relationship of the team?
Yeah, backs off the wall, play. We just got to keep winning. Like I said, we did it to ourselves putting our backs against the wall, and so that's all it is. A lot, people always used to say, they're going to remember what you do in November, and it's November, so we got to keep winning football
EJ
games.
Speed recently just told me we're not even in November yet. This is in October. He said, let's just wait on the chat until we get to November.
Exactly, yeah. And eyes aren't on the playoff, whatever have you. We just got to win the next game. And then after that one, see what the next one's about. That's all we got to do. We just got to go 1-0 every week. All those cliches you hear about, they're so true. You just have to execute every play. Each play will turn into a drive. Those drives turn into halves. Those halves turn into full games. You got to win. You got to win one play at a time. Go 1-0.
Thank you, Jake.
When I return back, it's important that I talk about what does this win indicate. I talked all about, what is a loss, what would that indicate? But for Houston to now be 4-5, and I hate to say it, kind of control their own destiny. What should we expect for Houston moving forward? More Locked On Texans Victory Monday to close out the show. Listen, I hope some of y'all were smart and followed live lines during the game over on FanDuel. We know the NBA is back. NFL is in action. No better place to get in on that action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game, and I know Texas fans, y'all ain't miss it. Y'all just maybe cut the TV off at halftime because you were so mad. But even if you missed the start of the game, or Houston Rockets fans, Sunday was a cardiac win type of day. But if you missed the start of the game, or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. I'm just saying. Plus, You can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps the game exciting, especially when your team, Houston Texans, Houston Rockets, are making the late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when you use when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Welcome back, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers. Before we close out today's episode of Locked On Texans, it's just Sunday, guys, was a game that I had never experienced live. I don't think I've experienced something like that. Like, of course, when I say live, I mean live in person. We've all experienced games like that, watching TV. But for Houston to pull out that victory, let's remember, coming into the game, the Jags were 5-3. A ball club that has victories over the likes of the Chiefs. They have victories over, some decent teams, not necessarily a lot, but they have some, notable victories on the season. But for Houston, this is the first time on the year that they've been able to beat a team with a better record, and the injuries are not as monumental, or maybe not the storyline, right? Jags were without Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, of course, but Houston was without their starting franchise. We don't know when C.J. Stroud will return back to the lineup, right? And maybe they kind of hold him out another week. Maybe they feel comfortable with Davis Mills versus Tennessee. Who knows? But it was a very important win for Houston. Now they're 5-4. We look at where they are currently. They are now the 9th seed. They still have to play Kansas City. They beat Jacksonville. Jacksonville is now sitting at 7. Both Kansas City and Jacksonville are 5-4. Houston 4-5, with Baltimore on their heels. And I think Baltimore's best, opportunity to make the playoffs will be winning their division. They control their destiny. That's important. The Texans are in a unique spot. They really are. Because what would happen if Houston wins against Tennessee? And not only if Houston wins against Tennessee, but Jacksonville may start to crumble a little bit. The Kansas City Chiefs, bye week right now. But what if they lose against Denver? And then after Denver, Kansas City has to take on the Colts. So that's a 2-game period right there, window, where Houston could very well, some things can work in their favor. And then also we look at Jacksonville, just lost, of course, and we look at their next game, the Chargers, and then after that, they take on the Cardinals. So some things could work in Houston's favor. And I don't want to get too far, but the win indicates Houston is not dead yet. It's a very impressive win. There's no way around it. People are going to find things to be nitpicky about, and this is the game. This is what happens. But if there was ever a win to not be anal about how a team got to the in victory point, it's this one. It's this one. There's no way you can't talk about a team scoring 26 points and holding a team to 0 without highlighting how they got to that point and trying to flip it into something Well, if they still had the blunders and the issues and errors in the first half of the game. Okay, so what in this case? So what? And I'm also going to say this win indicates that for those people who want DeMeco Ryans fired, why? He's not a perfect coach, but it took Andy Reid time. It took some of the greats time to figure things out. And he's done a lot for this franchise in 2.5 years. This is a great win. This win also indicates how strong I think this locker room is right now, how much belief in their head coach and each other in the locker room is right now. This win, also indicates just how great, and I've talked about Nick Caserio in terms of not being the best of GMs, but specifically not being able to put together a decent offensive line. Just go back and watch some of the tape on Ariante Ursary. Go back and look at Ariante Ursary in that open field on that Woody Marks touchdown. So the overall, the win indicates Houston is not dead. They still got fight left. They control their own destiny. Things need to work out in their favor, but the one thing Houston absolutely needs to do is continue to win ball games. Thank you for watching today's episode. This Victory Monday episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube wherever you listen to your podcast. Also follow me on Twitter as well at John_Hickman12. I think Texan fans across the nation need to, if you're listening to this, get your nice drink, look into the stars, and say, thank you. Thank you for never leaving nor forsaking us just yet. Not yet. Got a lot of football left, and I'll be covering it each and every step of the way. Until next time, ladies and gents, Texas fans across the nation, y'all deserve this Victory Monday. Peace.